friends, Grace here. So on this channel, it may seem like I've got it figured out, my personal finances, credit card hacks, savings and budgets and everything else. But in reality, I didn't have all of this intel and knowledge and learnings if it wasn't for my failed experiences in my 20s when I think in total wasted about $20,000 through mistakes that I've made. And so in today's video, I'm going to share with you mistakes that I've made in my 20s and just really honestly sharing them with you so that you don't make the same mistakes as well. Whether you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, I think these rules are so applicable to anyone regardless of your stage in life. So I've got my laptop here with my notes because I do have a few numbers as well that I want to share with you just so that I'm super accurate as well. One of the first mistakes that I've made was to lease my car. I am someone that knew nothing about cars at all, okay? So me walking into a car dealer was already a poor decision because first of all, I couldn't go and get a car from Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist because I knew nothing about cars. I had no idea what to do. So, I just went to the dealer and I decided to get a new car because I knew that was the safest route for me given that I knew nothing. So I went to the car dealer and, people always say to you, if you don't know, if you're uncertain, you don't want to commit, then just get a lease. So which is what I did. I got a 4-year lease on my 2016 Volkswagen Golf. So the 4-year lease at the time, the interest rate was 1.99%, and I put a $5,000 down payment, and then the rest was monthly payments of $330 every single month. Yes, $330 is very little in today's time, but I want to share with you is that, I did a lease, and then with that lease, basically the total amount that I paid was $20,840. At that point, after the 4-year lease, I had to make a decision on what to do. So option one was to return the car. So returning the car, I realized I went over the mileage, and the fee for that was actually $3,000 that I had to pay. So if I do the math right, I already paid about $20,000 to lease the car for 4 years, and now I have to pay another $3 just to give the car back to the dealer, and then I'm left with no car. So I have to figure out what that next vehicle is going to be and purchase it. Second option, which is what I went with, is to purchase the car outright. So to purchase the car outright, I basically paid around $13,000 to pay it out. And I was thinking, if I was out in the market looking for a used car, I would have had to pay $13,000 anyways, not knowing the history of that car, meaning, I might as well just buy my own car back, right? So I took that route and I purchased that car. So in total, this one car that I leased for 4 years costed me around $33,000 because I did not have enough cash at the time to purchase a car outright. So looking back, what I should have done was to purchase the car outright with cash, so then I don't have to, lease or finance the vehicle, meaning that, in total, I was out around $8,000, which I could have invested or done something with it. But instead, now I have a 2016 Volkswagen Golf that cost $33,000 when in reality the MSRP was just $25,000. So the second mistake I made was not investing sooner. So when I was 18, I started saving a lot, which is great. However, so much of my money, if I think all of my money, was basically just in my savings account. I was not making anything, maybe just 0.05% interest, and that was it. And I did that for a very, very long time. So looking back, if I had put that money into an investment account, like in a tax savings account, but then invested that money, I would have made quite a bit by now and I would be a lot more successful. But whether you are right now in your 20s, 30s, or even 40s, if you've got money set aside and it's just sitting in your savings account, please do something with it. Put it into an investment or some sort that gives you a little bit of a return, because by having your money just sit in your savings account, you're honestly losing money because inflation is going up so high. If you're not making any money or any investment choices at the moment, you're really losing out. And I honestly wish I had invested. Majority of my money was in my savings account. Like I had about maybe $70,000 saved. And if I had invested that over time, I cannot imagine how much wealth I would have now. But you know what? It's never too late to start. So get going. If you love to shop like me, something that I really regret doing was purchasing expensive luxury items. And not everything holds its value. That was the thing I learned. So back then I purchased expensive heels, like designer heels, and they would cost me about $1,000. I know it's ridiculous, but back then I used to buy these things. And then, when the time came that, I realized I don't really wear these heels at all. Let me try to sell them. You know what? luxury heels and luxury shoes do not have a resale value. It doesn't matter if you are selling a pair of Chanel flats, you know, the resale value is just really, really not there. So to give you a perspective, I bought this pair of shoes right here for $1,000, and it took me almost a year to sell them off of eBay, and I only got about $200 back from it. I barely wore them, brand new, came with the original box, etc., and it was just so difficult to sell them. Like, some things do hold their value, but unless you're really good at it, I wouldn't recommend spending too much on designer things just because it's really hard. So the next mistake I made was not really understanding my intent of purchase. So what I mean by that is, you know, I wanted something that was investment, that had a good return years down the road, that I could flip it, and also I wanted to enjoy the thing as well. But I'm here to tell you that really doesn't exist. It rarely exists, right? For something to hold its value so well, it needs to be in a very, very good condition, or it has to be a limited edition of something. So for example, like special editions of Chanel bags, Birkins, or special editions of Air Jordan collabs, or even Supreme collabs. Those are some things that will hold its value over time if it is in good condition. However, usually when you want to purchase something that you love plus get a return on it as an investment, it's really challenging because that item has already been used and it automatically depreciates the value of that item, right? So, you know, that was the thing. I wanted best of both worlds. And, you know, when I purchased this really expensive thing and I'm hoping that, you know, years down the road I can make something off of it, the reality is that it's not. It's not going to, because I've used that item already, or that the thing I wanted, it's not actually what is deemed as investment value. So it's really hard to get the best of both worlds. So this is a personal tip, and this is something I am shameful to admit, but it is true, is that do not book a trip with your significant other too early, okay? So this is a mistake that I've made a few times in the past that have costed me money, right? So for instance, if you are in a relationship with somebody, for like 3 or 4 months, do not plan a trip that's like 4 or 5 months down the road. Basically, 2x the duration is kind of my rule of thumb these days. The reason being is that the starting of the relationship is fairly new. You don't really know how committed you are to each other. And then when you do book a trip, trips are expensive, right? So I would say any type of trip, you know, if there's a flight, it's even more expensive. You're basically out at least $500 for any type of trip, whether road trip or whatever, right? So, you know, I've overcommitted in the past, and I've actually lost quite a few chunks of money through that. You know, so if you are in a relationship, early relationship, and you're not sure, you know, play it out, see how it goes before you decide to, you know, book a trip together. I know it sounds so great to do that, but, you know, wait it out, see how things go, because, you know, one day you're gonna look back and be like, wow, I dated this person for like 3 or 4 months, but I'm out $1,000 just because I decided to book a trip and now we're no longer together. And well, it's hard to get my money back. So I really hope that this video helped inspire you to not make the same mistakes that I've made. So whether you're 20s, 30s, 40s, I think these rules, just mistakes that I've made, would apply to anybody, honestly, regardless of what stage or age or you are in life. So if you're really into this type of like personal finance or want to get started, you know, you can watch my video that I recorded from my wiser self, so that you can get a few tips from there. With that said, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.